Hello again, welcome to part 2 of the scenery tutorial. Now just quickly, I also decided to make this little hill that goes in between the two tracks, just because I had enough bandage left over and I was in the middle of doing all of this stuff over here, so I just carried on basically. So both of the hills are now complete. So the next stage that I've got to do is I've got to paint the bandage, or the hillside that it now is, to a nice sort of background colour, because if you were just to apply grass and scenery and generally green stuff just straight to this, you would really notice it, because there would be places where the grass doesn't quite cover the whole area, or you deliberately wanted an area left a bit more thin, and you will be able to see the white stuff sticking through. So what most people tend to do is paint this some sort of dark background colour. My personal preference is brown, but other people also use greens. It's just depending on what you want to do really. So I'm going to go for some sort of darkish brown, and you don't need to get a perfect covering, but just enough and a nice little sort of background colour, and then that will stop the white showing through. This is the colour I'm going to go for. It's quite a rich, earthy sort of brown, and it should make a nice background colour for the grasses and the trees and stuff that I'll add to it. I'm looking forward to adding in the trees actually, because I finished making a load of them this morning. So you can see we've got a nice forest over there that's ready to be planted over here. They should look quite good. But until then, we need to concentrate on doing the background colours and getting the base grasses in. When you're painting this stuff, you have to be quite quick, because the bandage is still very, very absorbent, because it's still essentially plaster. So when you put the paint on, it's going to absorb straight into the bandage, and within 2 minutes it will be dry. So you really got to work hard and quickly, especially as I'm using a water-based paint. Okay, it's all been painted brown. It's a nice base colour, and it's now ready for the additional scenery. Now I've got loads of stuff that I'm going to be using, but basically I've got some different types of turf and sort of clump foliage. I've got some other stuff there, loads of static grass. I've got some ballast, or gravel as it will be turned into, some more clump foliage and some fine leaf foliage, which will be useful to represent large bushes. Right, I've just removed the duct tape, and what I'm going to do now is run a load of glue along the bottom of the hillside and add in some of this this sort of turf, and that will give us a nice neat finish to the bottom of the hill. And then I'll start adding scenery on the actual hill itself, and then towards the end start thinking about putting some static grass, be sort of grass sort of up here. Apply some glue to the hillside, and then what I'm going to do is apply some of the clump foliage that I've got in bits and pieces in various places, and then over the top of that I'm going to do some static grass, and in places I'll make the static grass much heavier, and in other places there won't be so much of it. So we'll see how that turns out. So first of all, I'm just going to sprinkle on some of the clump foliage, a bit there, bit there I think, and some more over here. Now where the gradient is steeper, I'm going to add the clump foliage in, and on the flatter areas I can do the static grass. It's important to remember that you don't have to cover everything with greenery, because that's the whole reason why you painted the underneath. Okay, now we'll add some static grass, and for this I'm going to use my my static grass applicator. Now for those of you who haven't seen that, or seen my video on it, I did do a video all about it, so before you post questions, take a look at my video called Static Grass Applicator, and should answer a few of your questions. I basically built it using odds and ends and guides I found on the internet. So it's not actually my design. I got it off the internet. It cost me about 20 quid instead of the knock Grassmaster, which costs about 120 quid, and I've got something that basically works in exactly the same way. So I'll just add some grass into it, and okay, now I've added a bit of static grass. It's looking quite good now. So we'll remove the earth wire, and then we'll just patch up where that had been, because obviously now you can see where it used to be. So I'm just going to get a bit of clump foliage and just hide that. And then to give it a sort of weathered, windy, wild effect, I'm just going to move the grass about a little bit and beat it up. Okay. So there it is. This is a nice, good base layer of scenery. There will be a load that needs to be vacuumed up at the bottom, but this is a good bit of scenery. It's nice and varied, and it looks quite wild. You can see the static grass sticking up along the top, and you can also see why I painted the back brown, because you can still see it's showing through, and that's good. It's important that a bit of ground shows through. You don't want the whole thing to be covered in greenery. It's very easy when you're using the static grass and the other products to get very excited and get carried away and almost make a carpet of grass along the whole lot, and then it looks a little bit too sort of dense, a bit too perfect. Everything looks the same. It's important to actually leave some bits a little bit bare, so that you can then come back and add trees and things and all sorts, because there'll be lots of, particularly down this end, I'm going to add some little trees sort of along the top, maybe a few just down the side, and some bushes sort of in the bottom. So it's important not to overdo the base layer, otherwise you'll end up sort of overpopulating it and making it look a bit too sort of crazy. So here's the completed base layer of scenery. There's various bits and pieces to hoover up along the bottom, and I still need to paint the cable trough in, but it's looking pretty good. There'll be bushes and stuff added to this, and trees, and any finer detail I need to do once I've hoovered up the excess. But it's come out quite well. It's nice and varied. So while this bit dries, I'm going to move on to this bit here. Now this bit is much more relaxed. It's much more of an actual hill. So what I'm going to do is probably add more static grass on this bit than I did over there. And that'll give a chance for the stuff over there to dry as well while I do it. So I'm just going to add a few little bits of sort of ground turf and stuff in places. And then I'll move on and I'll add in the static grass. So again, I'm just going to add a few bits of foliage in place. So I'll add something there. And now I'll just add in some static grass, remembering not to do too much because it can be easily overdone. I've got quite a fine grill on the applicator, so it takes quite a lot to actually get grass to come out of it. And now just move it about a bit, manipulate it, make it look like it's a bit more blown about, a bit more wild. And then just vacuum off the excess when it's dry. Okay, I've put in all of the baseline scenery, so you can see it's nice and grassy, and there's bits of clump foliage and bits and pieces scattered throughout, so it looks nice and varied. And I've also weathered the track in my usual style with my airbrush. I did a video on how to weather the track, and you can get to that by clicking on the link that's popping up on the screen now, and that will give you an idea of how I weather the track using my airbrush. I'm also getting a fence ready to put along this side of the line. I think a fence along here is going to look quite good, and I might add a little lane or something, some sort of country lane perhaps, that then runs sort of that way, goes over a bridge, and then accesses a little car park where the signalman can get to the signal box. Not too sure yet, but I think I'm going to put the fence in. It's a nice little bit of detail, and it's nice to add something that's a little, man-made to this otherwise very natural-looking landscape. And it also looks quite good down by the side of the line. See that there? I've also done a little bit of weathering on the tunnel portals. I've just darkened them down a little bit. Did the same on the other one as well. And there's still a few little bits and pieces that I need to patch up, but basically now the baseline scenery is done. So now the next stage is to add larger bushes, trees, and some sort of logs and plants and sort of more areas of foliage like that, perhaps, just to make it look a little bit more different and build it up, because at the moment it's just a nice sort of grassy hill. But it's coming along quite well, so tune in for the next video, which will show you what I do when I add trees and bushes and stuff.